Might already be fresh a little
I
bit.
think that means you don't have any work to do.
Oh, well,
Speaking
can I
of
go
work
now?
to do.
Can I go now?
Good morning. It is 10 a.m. on Friday, May 9th, 2025. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Item number 1, review and discuss, well, actually, I will say this, just that it's on the record, we're having to record this session. As everyone knows, internet is down, so I don't think we're live broadcasting it, but we are recording, and as soon as we are done, they will get that uploaded to YouTube and to our normal places to upload that to. So with that said, item number 1, review and discuss jail maintenance projects and work orders. Chief?
Well, there we go when I bring it
No.
to the court, so, Jeff, Jeff's gonna talk to you about the roof. We had, of course, we had a lot of rains, we had a lot of leaks, so he's gonna kind of fill you in.
Come on up so that the microphone can pick you up. Some of those audience ones do a pretty good job, but you never know.
Good morning, gentlemen, commissioners, and ladies. This morning, I'm bringing up a presentation and a review of our previous rains that we've had and the effect it's had on our jail. There are several leaks that are going on at that facility. One of our biggest leaks is in our hallway 1, where the point for heavy rain, it'll completely damage a couple of the tiles, and it'll almost be the point where they fall. We've had people out in the past looking at that. We've tried to address that a few times, and we haven't found the issue on that one just yet. But what we think it may be on this last inspection, which I have the whole proposal for them to fix, is the flashing under the unit was never put in place. This guy finally, I believe he finally found it, which would mean if we were to do it properly, we'd have to lift the unit up, flash it, and put the unit back down into place. That's really not a very, very good option with where we're at. You know, we can't just shut down a whole hallway or 4 pods and say, let's do this now. We're gonna try to do a workaround on that to just seal the bottom off to where the rain doesn't enter. I think that's probably our best course of action, I would think. Unless, you know, we wanna just go full Monty and do it the other way.
Jeff, back up, and this is from the people who put the roof down, not
Yeah.
the local.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is J Reynolds, which they're formerly Tecta Corporation. They've been out a few times in the past and they've sealed off some of the leaks and things like that. We've also made attempts, our staff, myself, have made attempts at sealing off some of the smaller leaks, which we had some success. But this last torrential rain has really exposed a lot of the problems.
Well, did the air conditioning people not put down the right flashing?
I don't believe there was any at all. I've got pictures here that we've taken during our walkthrough. Some of the units underneath, you can actually see the TPO peeling up underneath. Where if you look, I mean, you gotta really look in the railing, but you can see the TPO roof peeling up this way. So that's another big issue.
Take a large crane to lift that, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. It certainly would. I don't think it's a long process once the unit's in the air, it's flash and then drop back down, but the problem is getting the crane out and the logistics of it. That is the main, probably the cost, I would imagine too.
But all of them are that way, or just?
It appears to be for right now just the one in that hallway. It wasn't noted and we didn't see any evidence of the flashing missing on the other 2. There are leaks in those hallways in the similar spots, but from what we had seen on that investigation, that was present. It could be, those leaks could be coming from somewhere else. They're not as bad.
Any way to take some kind of A-frame up there or something and lift that thing without a crane? Or is it maybe too big?
I don't know if that would be a viable option, just due to the fact that if we set that on the roof itself, we may
Yeah.
do more damage to the TPO.
It
More
depends,
spread
it depends on what kind
Yeah.
of frame you have under
If
it.
there's
I
something
mean,
where you
Yeah, there
catch.
has to be some padding or something under it, but I don't know about the weight. Once you put the weight on the frame, the load on the stands I don't know what that would do.
No telling what that unit weighs too.
Oh yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
how big a unit are we talking?
This is one of our hallways. It's probably, if you were to put it into perspective, probably the width of the pillars here, probably, about that tall, about that wide, and maybe just as tall. It's one of the bigger units up there. So,
We don't wanna hear the good news is we lifted it, the bad news is the roof came in.
that's,
I've been involved in a few deals like
roof
that.
flies off.
Yeah, boy, that was a great idea, wasn't it?
Sorry, guys, anybody down there? Heads up.
Well, I have a quick question.
Yes,
If
sir.
our original roofing agency is the one that came out here and has been inspecting it several times through this time, what are they saying about that flashing not being installed? Because really and truly, that flashing issue kind of falls back on them. Whether we're just finding it right now or not, what have they said about it?
Absolutely nothing. We can fix it for you.
Yeah.
And that is an issue, and I mean, I've talked to Commissioner Beecham about it as well here just recently. And I brought it up to our roofers that how did this pass inspection without flashing being in there? You know, things can be missed, I guess, whatever.
I mean, there's a lot of units on that roof. I can understand that.
Yeah, there's 39, and all different variants and sizes and whatever they do. And I can understand that, you know, it could happen a time or two. We'll fix it for you, of course you will.
This should go back, like I said to you earlier this week, it should go back to either warranty or back to the
Folks
original
in Mystic
contractor
paid
that
for
was, we paid for it, it was never put in to begin with.
That's,
Yeah.
I'm agree
Yeah.
with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I would, it goes on to the further point of the number of holes that were found and tears, which those causes, we're seeming to think, because we don't, our group doesn't go up there without cause. I mean, we don't go up there just to hang out and do anything like that, so there's not any unusual foot traffic. There were noted in their proposal between the upper roof and the lower roof to be 43 holes and 15 cuts. So, from my understanding, the way the roof is put together, there's the metal, and then you put the TPO on top of the metal. Well, on that metal, there are screws that go up that attach various things under the roof. The screws point upwards. You lay the TPO on top, now you've got possible puncture points. And as the roof, and over time, as things settle and gravity takes hold, it starts to put that force on those screws. And we're starting to get punctures through the roof that way. So those were the 43 holes that I believe would be the case. Now the cuts, I don't have an explanation for the cuts. I don't know how or why they would be up there. There are some pictures in this proposal from them that show the actual cuts. There's also one section that's over by the sheriff's side, on the law enforcement side, where the wall, where the TPO runs up the wall, and then it's connected with the bracing on it, and then it's caulked in. The TPO is literally waving. It's almost coming off the wall. And that's a section of, what do they have here to replace? 1 foot by 15 foot of loose wall. So, and that's what they're saying is going on there. That's just either.
Yeah, we've had that on several buildings with this high wind.
And it kinda
Recently, the TPO membrane pulls loose from,
from the wall.
yeah, it's not an unusual thing.
That's not uncommon, okay. And there's a section of that that also needs to be repaired. The other areas in the facility that aren't as bad, I mean, they're still leaking, but we have the break room on the admin side. There's a leak right in that hallway by the door. The patrol briefing room, the gym, hallway 2, hallway 3, which we've mentioned. There's a leak by cell 210 in K-Pod. There's a small leak in L-Pod. There's leaks in the bond office. And then the main jail hallway on the east wall, there's some leaks that are starting to appear.
Are all of these new leaks, first time they showed up was this rain that level of rain happens once every 5 years here, but are these all new leaks, or are some of these y'all already knew about?
There are a few that are older leaks. The hallway 1 has been since day 1.
I think the gym wall, the wall in the gym, and the one in the patrol briefing room, they've addressed before too. They've done the wall.
Yeah, we've attempted to fix those, and the gym wall, I was one of the ones that had that kind of under control, cause it had rained a few more times and nothing was there. I was like, okay, we got it, and now here we're back again. I think a point of concern that he did mention, cause he was on the TPO side of it, is that brown trim molding up there. We've been going through, and where the seams meet, where they put the brown trim on the top to seal the tilt wall, some of that was never sealed, period, where there wasn't any sealant around the joints. So we went through and we resealed the joints that we could do, and then we've also used some of the black tape to go around and secure that joint. And we haven't gotten to all of them. So some of those too, need to be repaired. I've also noticed the gutters around, like there's gutters back by my office, they're rusted through. They're completely through. What else was there that I had? We discussed
But
the gym.
wait, there's more.
Oh, there is. The gun range. There are a couple of leaks that were noted out there. Chief Rutledge and Mr. Crutchfield noted one out there a couple days ago. They sent me that. And then Lieutenant Spiegel also noticed one. It's close, but it's not the same. That we can probably have repaired by Manasco. I haven't gotten a quote from them yet. This is just recent that I've gotten this information. They've also said though they were out last year and they fixed a lot of leaks in that gun range roof. They had stated that roof needs to be completely replaced.
It's a pitched roof though, isn't it?
The gun range, no, there's a little slope to it, but it's more or less flat.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
But that facility was 20 years old when we got it, right?
At least, it'd be
Yeah.
up at Fort Silver.
Yeah, I'm not near as irritated with those as what I am with the
With the
new
jail.
jail.
Yeah.
It is definitely, it's been cumbersome and it's a frustration for me, you know, cause whenever it rained. What I've noted too is that previous to this rain, because Judge, you had asked about if these were new or if they were older leaks. Some of the leaks, they come and go depending upon the way the wind blows.
Yeah.
Which is really strange to me. I'm like, well, it's not leaking this time, we got it. Next time it rains, here it comes. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's extremely frustrating to try to deal with that. And it was either this trip or the trip previous to that the Reynolds company was saying, okay, well, you know, you can fix your roof, but if you use these certain materials, you're going to void your warranty. And also, if we don't do the work, you could also possibly void your warranty because it's not from an authorized dealer. I'm like, well, inside this warranty contract, it says we can do the work. So what's the problem? He's like, well, that's just, I have to tell you that. I don't know if it's a scare tactic to get us to use or whatever the case may be. Now, the materials on it, you know, I don't think we're using subpar materials. We're using regular materials that I would see fit, that I think would seal stuff, you know, and I'm not gonna go and spend $3,000 on a roll of tape because it has to be TPO.
But that's at least a 20-year warranty on that roof, right?
It's a 60-year, as far as I know. But I think, I'm not real particular on that, I need to reread that, but I'm pretty sure it's a 60. But I think that only includes like events like we just had with hail and things like that, because that's originally why they came through, was to assess the hail damage. Ricky was one that had Manasco out there too to look, and you know, I figured, hey, if they're out there, let's just grab another one, let's grab the guys let's get two. And the quotes were completely, or the
reports
summations
were
that they had
completely
were
different.
just way off. I mean, these guys are finding 30 to 60 issues. Manasco finds something wrong with the coils on the air conditioning unit, and that's about all they found. It's like, okay, and
Well, on a hail inspection, they typically grid off about a 10-foot by 10-foot area and just check that. They may do that in a couple of locations, so they may not have seen that. But like I told you, I think we need to have another party go up there and do a full assessment. Those cuts and tears, punctures, we shouldn't be seeing that.
Most TPOs in this area though don't last but about 10 years. We have our sun and our hail here and our wind. TPOs just don't stand up. So 60-year warranties a joke.
We were told when we
They're a
were
10-year roof.
working on that roof, on that old structure out there, I remember this because it really shocked me, but it's true. They said on like 105-degree day here, which is not unusual, that roof moves from 12 to 18 inches. Now think about
Expands.
that.
Yeah, that's unreal.
And so
I remember
things
that.
like those penetrations that causes,
Yeah.
if you got a screw sticking up there and that thing's moving around like that, I
We
mean,
shouldn't
that-
have
you
screws sticking up.
can- You can
That's,
understand.
That's- yeah.
I was shocked when
No,
I heard
that's
that.
why I
But when you
want-
think about
I
it,
think it would
it's,
go down.
go back to your high school physics, that's exactly, that's why we have expansion joints in bridges.
And that's the
Because
same with the
they'll
tilt
move.
wall. The tilt wall has the expansion joints too for that specific
no,
purpose.
the screws used to screw the foam down, go down. They
Go
don't
down
come
with
up.
it, yeah, you don't
they-
leave the.
But
Now-
anything they mount up there screws up.
It screws up, but,
And that's what it was, the screws are going, they're coming up, and you can see them in some of the pictures. The pictures are black and white because of the print job, but if you
Yeah.
know, if you guys want, I'll send you the color versions of it.
But they can't be
It's
cut
just-
out and rework the screw and then patch over that?
What they're wanting to do is they're wanting to take another piece of thicker TPO and just go over those holes and go that way with it.
It's
instead.
like a foot around it or something like that?
Yes, sir, it's roughly, maybe even less, maybe a 2x2 or a 4x4
Well,
square.
will they
circle.
fix the screw?
No.
Well, you would think that's, we're to the end of that, and I guess that's where they're going. We've already done the damage and the length of that screw. Sounds to me like they put just a little bit too long a screw.
Yeah.
I've done
Are
that
they
before.
wanting to put on an extra additional layer of insulation there? Foam?
They're only gonna do it from the
Hopefully
top,
screw
it would
moving.
probably be, I think the patches that they've used in the past are either 0.6 mil, or maybe even 1 full mil
Right,
of
then all of a
thickness.
sudden that screw
So it could pop through again.
Yeah.
To do it from underneath would be an arduous task, and to take the screws out like y'all are mentioning, and we have to access the screws, which would mean we have to get up all the way to the top of the roof, and in certain areas, it's probably not feasible.
Only if you actually have screws sticking through, the only way to do that is to cut that, grind that screw off shorter, patch it back, and go with it.
And yeah.
Cut it from the top. But
Right.
you don't wanna just leave it sticking up.
Yeah.
You wanna
No.
cut it. So if they told you they'd just leave it and patch it, that's stupid.
Well, who would have who screwed the metal down on the facility?
depends on what they were doing, what
Yeah.
contractor. It could have
I
been
don't
any of a
know.
number 15, 20 different contractors that had things going on in there.
But there wasn't one guy that did all the roof? I mean,
Well, all
was
the
that
roof, yeah, there was one contractor for the roof, but you had all kinds of stuff going to that deck. So between security, IT stuff, I mean,
Well, it's one of those scenarios, that screw was designed to penetrate. That's how
Yeah.
it works. But then that leaves the sharp.
but the
sharp
roofers
cutting
should have
edge.
seen that when they were putting the
Yeah.
TPO foam up there, that there was a,
Missed it back
But
there.
actually though, a lot of that stuff you add in after the fact.
That could have
is
been.
added
It
in
could have
after
been.
that roof's already
But
in.
see, that's what I asked them too, I was like, well, how did this ever pass inspection? You
Yeah.
know, and I understand, you know, we're gonna miss, things are gonna get missed.
But are we talking about
These
the
are
screw is
pretty egregious.
coming up through the roof, or the head of the screw is backing out of the roof?
that's what I,
No.
Yeah,
Is
the
it
head of,
which-
the point of the screw is headed
point
up.
up.
So we've been inside drilling up, is what the
And if,
Right, they're,
penetrated the
they're
roof.
If
probably
it's-
in their lifts,
Well,
they're
I'm telling
probably
you
in
right
their,
now,
in their
that
big
part's
lifts
gonna
and just
Yeah.
bolting whatever they had to
Yeah,
going like
well,
this
unless
through it.
that's fixed, it's gonna continue to, in a couple of years, it's
It'll
gonna
keep
be
going.
right through there again.
Mhm. The ones that aren't already showing their faces.
Because the roof's,
God.
it's drying out, material's drying out, and it's shrinking a little, and boy, that must be, we just missed it by that much. We needed a little shorter screw.
Yep.
I've been screwing on something like that and struck oil, you know. the time.
Yeah, you go just a little bit too far.
Yeah, a little bit too much. That does happen.
Yeah,
That does happen.
Well, did they give you a price?
they did, sir.
it's,
I have the proposal here. The price on their proposal was,
it wasn't out of line, it wasn't unreasonable.
it was $13,540. That did not include the water test, which they want to do for that hallway 1 unit to make sure and find the leak for good this time, and then the repair to that unit. This includes everything
Oh, it did
else
not include a repair
but
for
that.
that flashing, it did not include a flashing repair?
Correct.
Who's that from?
This is from Jay Reynolds, known
That's the
as
one that originally did
Protective.
it?
Correct.
Have you asked them about fixing the flashing? Just point blank?
I have. I haven't asked if they were gonna cover the cost. That was just kind of a small mention.
Well, that's probably the most
Yeah.
important part of it.
Right, that's the biggest issue. What I was getting at with them is I think we wanted to try without lifting that unit first to see. If they can effectively repair it that way, that's probably our.
The key is if they
best.
can, yeah, I
Right.
don't want us to make that repair.
Yeah,
Because
we don't
this
want-
is their this is their mistake.
Yep.
They
100%.
need to be fixing that.
Yep.
As far as the cuts and dings and whatever, I don't know how we've got cuts up there.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
That
I've
would
been up
almost
there-
have to be a physical, like
Mhm.
we drug something across it or hit it with something.
yep.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. I've been up there numerous times.
How long, do you know how long they are? I mean,
Walk
little
paths.
Short deals or?
There are some that are short, about like this, and then there are some that are just a little bit longer, like something got drugged, like something metal, would have to be something heavy, got drug across
Could
it.
that big help, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's gonna gash it like that.
Well,
You know,
that's-
We have to prove
That
Something
TPO,
could-
I mean, TPO usually, when it hits on that, it'll tear it. It'll look like a tear. I don't know if it'd look like a cut, but it'd look like a tear.
Well,
That's as puzzling. The only thing that I can think of, and this may be, it's just an idea or a thought. They were putting the awnings on the building a while back, and I think some of the guys were going up over the top and putting that awning in by where the main entrance is on the back through the secure side. And I noticed a gash just after they were done, so I don't know if they were carrying stuff up there and they drug something across that roof, and because that's where a couple of
was
them
that,
are in that
where's it
area.
at, over in that corner?
Mhm.
So across ours may have done it?
It's very possible. And we've put a
No,
few,
you can't prove it.
we've put
I
a
just-
few pieces of our black tape on there, and of course, these guys are saying that's a no-no. I said, well, it stops the frickin' leak, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that's the best we could do with what we've got. I don't have TPO materials and a welder in my
Might
hand.
prevent $10,000 worth of damage inside.
Yeah, with a 20-cent piece of tape,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it, you know.
Are the cuts, are they straight?
They're kind of jagged, they're not like a lightning
Yeah.
bolt jag.
So more of
They're
it
more of
could
a
be a
dig and
tear, not like a X-Acto knife or something. when it goes
Correct.
there, Yeah.
Yeah, it's something it doesn't look intentional, you know what I mean?
Right.
If somebody were to maliciously do that, they would take a knife like the
Yeah.
commissioner was
Yeah.
saying and just start doing this.
No, I don't see y'all making the tears up there. Y'all are usually staying on the walk paths. There's no reason to really get off of them
Correct.
unless you're gonna clean the scuppers or whatever.
And I have made it a point to, when we do our filters and things like that, when Trinity comes up, I do a walkthrough on the top of that roof, because I found a few things that they've missed. But I haven't found any deep dig damage, because they're just putting cardboard boxes up there, and that's all they ever really carry. I mean, they're tools, yes, but they're always on their belts, they're required to have them on their belts, and then check their shoes and things like that, so I really don't know what's causing those gashes.
That 13.5 number, is that the whole package, the whole deal? Or
That's everything except for that hallway one flashing
that,
and.
where we gotta move there just,
Correct.
I was hoping that was included, but
Yeah.
I figured it probably wasn't.
But will they fix it without the flashing for that number?
They're gonna, no,
Attempt.
no, sir,
They can't.
that's not part of.
That's a separate
that's a
issue
separate deal.
completely.
Right, there's another quote for the water test where we wanna pinpoint where this stuff is. I haven't included that with this proposal. That, the water test was 2,500, and then there would be another separate for any kind of repair for that.
Well, I think they owe us the repair. It's their mistake.
I agree with you on that sentiment.
Melvin, have you read that warranty on that roof?
No, I have not seen it, Commissioner.
Well,
You have that PDF, don't you?
I have it, yes.
Just email it, and get you the email address from Mel.
Sure, I'll send it over.
it's 13,000 proposal to make the repairs. Does that include a warranty on those repairs?
Their repairs are warranted,
It extends the full life of the warranty of the TPO.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if it leaks again in the same spots when they make this repair, then they'll come out and fix it for nothing.
Well, then they're taking the liability then. I don't see that the repair cost is, it's high, but it's not out of line with what I would expect. The flashing, missing, I think that's theirs.
I think that flashing deal, I mean,
Yeah.
if that flashing's not there, all they're gonna do is come in there and basically, a fancy way to say they're gonna caulk the bottom of that air
Seal it
conditioner
up,
unit to the
pretty much.
roof.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're gonna do to try to fix it. That right there is gonna do nothing but fail.
Yeah.
I mean,
Caulking's gonna break in over
that-
a year or two.
It doesn't, it will fail. I just think we should pursue making them stand good for that air conditioner. I mean, it's one thing getting them to do the repair, and I'm not against that, but we need to hold them accountable to the flashing.
When you get into a country where it goes from being near 0 to 110, things move around. And it's sure hard to keep that stuff over long. It worked for a while when it's all flexible, but boy, as it dries out, that's when you begin to.
It cracks, yeah,
And to have
that
problems.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on with the caulking around the edges where it keeps that up there, a lot of that's cracking back. And they've come back a few times and patched in those certain areas.
So it's
of
down the
that.
main hall,
The main hall is,
where
yeah,
that air conditioning, whereabouts in the
it's,
location?
it's,
How far?
like if you're going down the main hall, the very end of main hall, you branch off into hallway 1, which is Alpha Bravo Charlie and
The
Delta
north.
Yeah.
plots. Yeah, it's on the
On
north end of the
north,
building,
north end, okay.
northeast corner of
So
that
it-
hallway. It's
it's
right in the
not-
middle of the hallway.
Okay,
dead
so it
center.
wouldn't be that difficult of a pick then. I mean, you could actually get a crane to it. It's not
Yeah,
like
it's, yeah,
yeah,
no,
but-
I follow you.
yeah.
It's not in the very dead middle of the building, no,
Okay.
sir. It's on that northeast corner.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't take an enormous crane to get to it, like if it was adjacent to the Sally Port or whatever.
Right, correct.
You know where Business Station is?
Yeah.
It's
It's right there.
above that.
Okay,
That's right.
I'll know
So
where you're
about,
talking,
what,
Yeah.
50
Matt
feet
believed
in,
it was a
65
drone.
pounds.
yeah, okay.
I'm out of having about. What about interior damage? Did any of this cause any major?
Just the ceiling tiles.
Okay.
Thank God. So far, just
Thank
the
God.
ceiling
Yeah,
tiles.
It could be a lot worse.
It could be lights, it could have
We've had
been
little
the cameras
experience
and
in that
stuff.
area over the last year.
Yeah,
Little experience.
I think our next step would probably be to have Mel review what our contractual obligations are with them on that. And
okay.
I agree.
I'd move forward with the repair, but we have to put that on the agenda to move forward with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the good news?
I love you. I appreciate all the support. I mean, that's our good news. We're
Well, the
still
good
here.
news is if you do the repair right, that it extends the warranty or keeps the warranty.
If it
That-
keeps the
that's
warranty,
good
then-
news. We
then-
need that.
Yeah. The biggest point of contention on that one, which was really a big concern, was that wall, that piece that's coming off the wall over there by the admin side. I would really hate for a wind to pick up and blow that thing off.
Are
It'd be
they
in
gonna
some
stand
bad
good
shape.
for that at all?
What's that?
That parts that's peeling off the wall?
They're gonna fix, that's in this proposal.
So they're not standing warranty on that?
No.
To me, that seems like almost a warranty issue, that's not a tear in the floor or something. That's a,
Well, it's the same thing we have in the courthouse. If the membrane lifts and the membrane's not penetrated, then they don't warranty the glue, I guess. They warranty the membrane.
Yep.
'Cause we're having to deal with that here at this building right now.
So, that's shiny, happy people, I suppose. I mean, we do the best we can. I'm sorry I had the bad news today.
That's all right.
That's,
well, we get lots of bad news. You won't be the only one.
I'm just the first.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
would you like me to leave this proposal to Chief so you guys can have it?
Yeah, I think
You want to email you the color pictures,
I think it'd be good for everybody to have them in advance of Tuesday.
Okay.
so when the internet comes back up.
Hotspots, baby.
You just want, you want on this?
Yeah, hold on, so we'll give you an email here.
Okay.
I know at the end of the day, we've got a great facility out there and we're trying to do good maintenance. And if you don't do good maintenance, that thing will just be
Get out
it'll be
from
a
under
piece
you.
of junk in a matter of a few years and we just can't, we got too big an investment in that deal.
Yeah.
We
You
do,
gotta stay on top of it.
we work every day for you guys to make sure that that is a top-notch facility.
And it looks good. When I've been out there, it looks good.
Thank
It
you.
does, it makes a big difference.
It's
And
not
leaks.
surprising that we missed something up there and all
Yeah,
the
right.
millions of moving parts.
It's a huge facility, and that's just, you know, it's a bump in the road, and we'll get through it. We'll make sure we'll do our best to hold their feet to the fire on the flashing.
Leaks are probably one of the most frustrating things to deal with on buildings.
Oh, God.
I mean,
They are.
I deal with them a lot also.
You know, because you can
You
look
can
up
think
and
you had it
see,
fixed, and
you can see it on the ceiling tile head, but that doesn't mean that's not where it's coming from,
Well,
way over here,
yeah.
you know, it's.
Sometimes you just can't
Chase.
find it. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
that's
takes, well, that's frustrating. The next time we build a building, Mark, we want you to stand out there and watch the guy put the flashing on all the.
Hey, at least they didn't drill through conduit and everything like they did across the street and just putting that
man.
TPO on.
Oh my,
They-
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not good.
that was like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Have
Jeff.
a great weekend. All right.
Chief, did you have anything else on that?
Just the regular work on
Okay. Item number 2, receive status report on salaries and overtime. It'll be the email that Wilmer sent out last Thursday, the 1st at 9:13. And I do have a question, Chief, on the housing report and the out of county revenue. I know that we had this come up, and so Captain Patterson was working to get the medical and prescription costs for any of the out-of-county inmates that were coming in. Those need to be handled separately because of the core health contract. If we could, I'd like to just have that added in the expenses incurred, just so that we keep an eye on. I know y'all are already doing it. I think it would just be good to
Add it to your
just to
report.
have as an informational deal.
So that's really actually something we'll add to the meals and labor from the expense deal, and we get a closer deal. I mean, those numbers look really good. That's kinda like raising a wheat crop with no seed, though. You don't have any seed cost, it sure doesn't help.
What time did you say that Wilmer email
It
was?
last week.
9:13 a.m. on the 1st.
I have a little trivia for you. I was reading the LA Times report on the LA Sheriff's Department in 2024, which this is a little bigger department. There's 10,000
A little,
members of
yeah.
the department. They had over 1,400 open positions throughout the year, and 900 additional positions were out for some type of leave. So they had 4.3 million hours of overtime at $458 million.
What's that number again?
that's why but that is also why they're bankrupt.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
4.3 million hours of overtime.
You know, you bring up a really good question now. When we go to these conferences and we talk to commissioners and judges from other counties, everybody you talk to is going through the same scenario. I don't have anybody telling me we're fully staffed and, you know, everything's going great, and, you know, it almost seems to me like
see here.
we need to take a look at this from
I can get it
a,
in
almost a
green.
federal perspective and say, where are we? What are we gonna do? You look at these numbers, guys, what would you think the daily cost of housing prisoners in the United States would be?
found it.
Oh,
I
Lord.
mean, it'd just be staggering. That is a big deal. And there's obviously a disconnect somewhere, and, because it's not just us, and it's not just LA, it's everybody. And you just think somebody would be taking a look at where are we headed, what are we gonna do? Because I don't know that we got a long-range plan, and we probably need one.
There has not been enough
So
accountability.
Judge, get us one, get us one.
I'm working on it. It'll be next week.
Okay, all right.
The long-range national plan.
You're gonna save the,
Yeah.
the national plan for crime.
Yeah. And it's
Alcatraz.
Law
Open
enforcement,
Alcatraz.
it's law enforcement, incarceration, it's all that stuff. Something's missing, we've got a challenge there.
It's a family issue, not a,
Well,
It is.
you're right.
Starts there.
it starts there.
It's,
I don't
Here,
I
got
can-
your list.
I can
I've got your
barely
list
hear
pinned
you.
down
Taking my
over here.
list.
I've got your list pinned down over here. Jeff and I've got a list.
I'm gonna count on the judge to adequately look over those payroll. Oh, yeah, I'm stepping out for a minute. like you
Yeah.
said.
Tell you, in April, courthouse security had 11,334 come through, and they made 64 arrests. On top of all the hours in the courtrooms and stuff.
They were really helpful with me this morning. I had an incident yesterday and had them pull some videos and do some research.
Get the Duke video system up.
I know, yeah, it's gonna be good.
So, would you say 61
64 arrests.
here in the
In
courthouse?
the courthouse or the annex together, yeah.
That's really kind of a shocking number when you start thinking.
Most of
about it.
those are gonna be, they go to court and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just been sentenced, or they come in and have warrants
Right.
or violation of probation,
Ah,
and get arrested
okay.
for that.
Yeah, they tagged someone this morning when I was with them.
There's good news
Kudos.
and bad news.
They're outstanding.
Yeah, I think it's a good group.
Where are we on, positions?
We were down, I believe, 12.
Okay, down to 12. I think the way we solve a lot of this is we just remove holidays. Those seem to be a problem on overtime, so just remove them and
Yeah.
take care of it.
Another factor to take in that it doesn't show up is when jailer would take a holiday or take a sick day, and they still would have over the 40 hours, but we had to have somebody come in and work that day, but that day doesn't show up as a sick day because they had enough hours.
Yeah.
So that's, and some of it's hard to figure every hour.
And I know we talked about the 562 guys who are also working over in the jail.
Yes.
We're not actually going to change that reporting until the new time software. Is that correct? As far as the county,
I think
county
in there, when they do mark when they're working in jail on the time clock, yes. It's a drop-down option in a
Okay.
time jail.
But on this purpose, Jim, I bet it rolls up still to their department
It
number.
goes to the department,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, I go through and I look at the hours and if it's overtime in the jail, I put a J by it where I know.
Okay.
So like, 562 is the next page. The one that had the 20 hours overtime,
Right.
16 of it was in the jail.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions on that? All right. We'll move along to item 3. Review and discuss regular bills.
No,
Do what?
oh, I said I have those.
There were 2, so make sure you get the most recent one, which was yesterday at 4:14 p.m. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Not very good. By fall, I'm not good.
Now, Margaret, when I'm opening the field is blank. And I looked at them yesterday and it was populated.
I don't know, cause mine opened, I had to go to the email because I can't get on the server and get them, but mine are open and the rest of y'all's opening.
The
They're on
email
the phone.
PDF is opening.
Yeah, that's what,
The PDF is what I'm looking at and it, see when I click on, Margaret's PDF, like right here. They're just blank.
Well, are you logged in on a hotspot?
No.
It won't pull it, because there's
Oh.
nothing for it to download.
Oh.
Rather, having it on the hard
Okay.
drive.
Well, yeah, let me look at that. I didn't do the general yesterday.
It's a little harder on your.
The asphalt zipper charge in precinct 5.
That was a new radiator.
Okay.
The old one, which was new, or came with the machine, has just fallen apart.
Well, that was off the reclaimer.
Yeah,
zip-
well, off the zipper that we own.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that was off our,
Yeah.
that's a Cummins, I think, on that deal.
See, we've got another LPPF payment going out. Do they do those on a regular, like, quarterly basis, or is it just when they get the urge down in Austin?
It's irregular.
Okay.
It's when we get something from Matt Gilbert, our consultant. He's-
Okay.
Good thing we have our phones. They seem to
Yeah.
work most of the time. Not our multi-million-dollar computer
You've got
system.
your, why don't you have your hotspot?
It was loaned to another department.
Ah, okay.
Mine's in veterans, so.
Alleviating expense somewhere else. Or it might actually be legal. Not today.
And Margaret, it seems that AMR is being more up to date on
Yes, sir.
sending those, okay, because I noticed they're pretty much every
Yes, sir.
week, unfortunately, now.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that deal. Mobile phone in Texas for me, probably gonna be a radio repair.
I wish I could look up the individual ones that we cannot. Are your department, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet if
Well,
it's
correction.
in those
Never
new
mind.
trucks.
That was
I was gonna say,
on, that was
if you
on
had-
precinct 3. Never mind.
Yeah, and all those were for taking them out of an old truck and putting them in
Yeah.
a new truck.
Yeah, there's a whole
Okay.
bunch on CSCD.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, cause they traded in, three or four vehicles and then they got 2 new ones.
Okay.
Well, I just got a text here, it says a new roof doesn't have to break the bank, so. Where was he 30 minutes ago, whatever?
It doesn't have to, but
It
it
doesn't
will.
have to, but it can, that's exactly right.
Depends on how big your bank is.
If it's Chase Bank, it probably won't, but.
Yeah.
So, under TJPC, we have a charge to Lubbock County for professional services for,
That's gonna be when they place the juveniles.
okay, it's a prof-
It's sexual offender treatment there, it's just,
oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
since we don't have 8 million lines anymore, we just try to put, you know.
yeah, okay. Just, I don't recall ever seeing a
Yeah,
professional
it happens
services
every-
line like that.
Pretty much every month we have those.
Okay. Guess I didn't look at it that close.
It's easier to see when there's not much on there.
Pike Pass is going precinct 5?
Yes, for all 4 of the precincts.
They have been, but Jeff has asked me to look into getting the pipe passes redone, and that's what I'm working on doing.
For each individual precinct?
They
Yes.
probably need to break out, because if I go to DeLacy more than he does, then he shouldn't be paying equal amount.
No, and that's what it's.
Once you get new ones, will be.
Right, that's what we're gonna do, but because at one point, everybody was going like one right after the other, and it was impossible to try to get through those 100 lines of bills, and so I believe it was Jeff, I'm sorry if
Yeah,
I'm mistaken.
no, it's,
Agreed that we would pay all of those out of 5, but now that we're kind of getting rid of 5, for lack of a better word, we're gonna go through and make sure everybody has their own.
To their own
Tax
truck.
Still
Yes.
not ever
They
gonna
were
charge
precinct.
correctly, because I drive for you, you
Yeah,
drive for me, Jeff drives for Barry, and
Yeah,
But
it'll
yeah,
still,
there's no
it'll
way
still
for us to
end
There's
up.
no
know that.
way.
It's just
No.
gonna have to be charged by the vehicle, I mean, I don't know what else
right.
Yeah,
to do. The only other option
it's
would
not
be-
that big a
Well, it
deal.
probably comes out in the wash of the long
Yeah,
run.
right.
But,
This-
yeah.
cause
It's like
we
about
can't, there's
200.
impossible to track that.
Right, I mean,
No,
the only other
It's
option.
not impossible.
Not impossible,
It
but
just
very
required a bunch of
Yeah,
time.
it
and
would-
just-
it's not worth the time
Right.
and effort to,
Well, I was gonna say, the only other option I can think of, I haven't even said this to Matt, would be to keep paying it out of 5, and we just split it amongst the 4 of you, not really 5, splitting a bill in quarters for 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I
Yeah.
would,
I think
I
having
would
a pipe pass for the
individualize it.
vehicle, yeah, and
That's-
then,
that's
And
fine,
that's
it
fine.
it works the same, it'll all come out in the wash that way.
Yeah. And I will ask, does anybody remember if DeLacy's still the big the rip rap
Mm,
low bid?
Yes, they were. Inch and a half and riprap, and
I-
3/8 and 5/8 unwashed.
I need 10-inch rip rap. That's why that's not something
Now, I don't know
I don't
about
think
the
anybody-
size.
I don't think it's bid, but I should be fine. Not what the mudslides costing.
Can you, Mick, can you get 8 to 10-inch concrete busted like that? Do you know?
I wonder if they could make a rougher cut.
Rough cut?
Yep.
I see the United Regional, charges. Do you know, off the top of your head, how close we are to hitting our cap?
Yep, sure do.
Oh.
We're at like 89,000.
Well, we've paid about, but it was 85, and we have a little over, about 75, 74, 75.
Still to go.
We get there.
Okay,
So we pay till we hit the cap and then we don't pay no more?
that's correct.
And it's May,
Mhm.
it start first, January 1st?
Yeah.
I guess that's good and bad.
Yeah.
I'd rather hit the cap in January, but.
Get the caps
Yeah.
all
We
the
got
same
the
anyway.
caps.
Yeah, it's capped.
And the United Regional physician is separate.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Everyone had a chance to go through?
I'm done.
Okay. All right, item number 4, receive activities report from the Indigent Healthcare Office. Ladies, come on down.
Okay. Okay. You go there. Take-
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We come bearing good news.
Well, hey, someone's got to.
Take one.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good, I don't have to read it on my phone.
All right, good morning. So the first page that we're gonna be looking at is going to be our numbers. It's gonna indicate for our totals for active clients. It's gonna be currently from last month to now, we are sitting at 91, give or take a few, because we sent this over on Tuesday. I think we're sitting at like 96 altogether. This is just our overall clientele for our regulars that can go to their primary doctor, specialty care, pretty much get the whole works for healthcare coverage. The next one is going to say that they are at 7, which is our IA pendant, meaning that we do not currently pay for any prescriptions or specialty care. So, the next one is going to be our cremation totals for last month to current. So last month, Victoria was able to see a total of 10. Out of those 10, only 8 of them were actually approved. So meaning that they either were over the income limits or they were donated and they just didn't go through county funds. Currently, right now, I believe the number for pending is less than 3. We just currently have 1 pending for the overall office. And then into more of the little bit of the funner part of everything for our reimbursement. So on our burial services, we were able to reach out to Matt's office and get the reimbursements and overall totals from 2021 to current. As of 2021, we were sitting closer to $39,000 per year for each cremation to go through. Currently, right now, we are projected to sit about 30 at the end of this year for overall
Total
cremations.
cost.
For the total cost. We've been able to utilize a lot more of, whether that's going through a different burial process, being donated, making sure that the assets and resources are actually being maintained for the county. And then if there is anything left over by these deceased, then just trying to recoup that money for the county. So a lot of this at the bottom is going to be our recoup. So we were able to start about a year ago in regards to getting reimbursed for everything that we're being able to do. So if the client has some money left over, if they've passed, we're able to recoup the amount that we're paid out for those cremations. So that's where you'll see those plus signs at the bottom for that.
And this is something that we'd never actively
Yes, sir.
engaged
Yeah.
in, so.
Yes, sir.
So does that happen when you probate a will, or, I mean, how do you,
No, so if they're gonna go through county, typically there's not a will in place, not even a verbal or written will, it's
Right.
just a regular Joe on the streets that unfortunately doesn't have anything. If there's anything in their bank accounts or a residential fund, if they were at a nursing home, Medicaid and Medicare come first, and then whatever left over, we will get reimbursed for that, whether that's the transportation or just the cremation, if not overall together.
interesting.
And
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
if there's funds over the amount that's owed back to the
Yes.
county, it goes into essentially an
Yes.
escrow account. We hold it for, is
A
it
year.
10 months? Is it
It's a year.
Full year?
Yeah, it's gonna be a
And
full
then it
year,
reverts back to us at
correct.
that point.
The projection number, is that net of reimbursements, or is that's
is-
our just expenses?
Yeah, that's just expenses, that is not including anything for reimbursements. Reimbursements are kind of case by case depending on the clientele.
But our cremation numbers have continued to go up, and that's why it's so important that they're seeking other
Yeah.
resources to hold that expense line down.
Correct. Yeah, we're trying to make sure that we are responsible and utilizing the best bottom dollar and then trying to recoup anything if we're able to. So, just trying to look out for everybody.
I noticed the numbers, the totals there peaked back in 23 and 22. Those were two pretty tough years. Was that due to our cost? Was our cost higher then, or was it
Yes,
just
sir,
numbers?
I believe so. I believe the cost of the cremations were 16 to 18,000.
Yeah, okay.
Now currently they're 450 plus transportation at
That's
430.
60,000.
430 plus the
Yeah,
transportation
the
at
bid-
$100.
Yeah, if I remember right, the
Yeah, the
bids
bids
came down
came
It's been
substantially.
dropped
So
dramatically.
it wasn't necessarily just numbers and increasing down, okay.
Correct, yes, sir. So then on the next few pages, what we'll have is also our voucher programs. So we were able to partner with America's Best Voucher or America's Best Eyeglasses. It's a voucher program utilized through the Faith Mission, the Refuge, Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, everybody through the Wichita County agencies utilize them. Our prior caseworker with us, Megan, actually is the one that brought us in line with them. It is a voucher that utilizes a free exam and glasses for our clients. Currently, right now, we don't pay for glasses in-house, but at least we're able to utilize this voucher, and it covers not only that doctor's visit, which if you see to the right of the totals, that saves us $135 basically. So each time a client is going there, it's saving us at least the doctor's visits. then they get those glasses for absolutely free on that charge. They have a full wall that they actually get to look at and pick and choose. Granted, they're basic glasses, but still, our clients come to us with nothing, and so they're at least able to go get those glasses, get the exams, make sure everything's good, and they'll even say, we have a little bit more issues, you need to probably be referred to a specialist. So they're overall getting the excellent care that we couldn't even.
This is above and beyond
Yes.
what our responsibilities are.
Correct. So that, for each one of those, that's from 2024 to current, that we're able to say like, hey, we're able to save $135 for these office visits for all of our clientele that we do put there. And we can even do walk-ins if there's somebody off the street that unfortunately doesn't meet our qualifications for our program. We could at least say, do you need help with glasses? And so if you see on there where it says walk-ins, a lot of those are just regular Joes off the street, just come in. Fortunately, you don't meet our program qualifications, but we can help you this way. Then this one is going to be our IA Pendant, or our IPM, so which is our Integrative Prescription Management. This is how all of our clientele are able to get our prescription assistance at the very top, starting from 2017 to current. You can see that the numbers have dropped dramatically.
That's incredible.
Yes. So we have been able to partner with a lot of companies outside of just Wichita County. St. Vincent de Paul is very, very grateful. We are very grateful for them. They are a mail-in pharmacy that houses anywhere from 300 to 500 prescriptions. That is absolutely free for our clientele. The only requirement they have to do is fill out the application and have a valid mailing address. Other than that, it is out of our hands, it's out of the taxpayer dollar. That does not affect anything on their insurance line or across the board for their prescriptions. That is number one. Number two, United Regional. United Regional across the board, from the hospital to the transition clinic to URPG. They have their own RCA program known as the Financial Assistance Program. They are also able to help out with getting prescriptions. We've been able to establish communication across the board for them, not only through St. Paul, but through United Regional, and that's why these numbers are gotten down so low where they are. We can't say enough appreciation for them.
Do they bill us on the back end?
Yeah.
No.
They're getting reimbursed through other programs, other pots of money to help make that available.
There's a couple more factors at play.
Yeah.
We're not the other pot of money.
We also like to also shout out the Interfaith Ministries, Catholic Charities, but our big top two are those United Regional and St. Vincent de Paul.
So, also in 17, we literally had clients that should not have been on the program. We purged the books, and now we're requiring what the state requires, reassessing every 6 months, which keeps our clientele list.
Making sure people are
current.
on policy and staying in ethics, basically
And-
across the board, in-house and also at their providers as well. So,
And we also are in contact with physicians to make sure that we're not prescribing everything that you see on TV at 11 o'clock
Yeah.
at night,
yeah.
which was a big thing back in 17, 18, when we were going over the bills up here. We'd see those every week. All the name brand scripts were coming in, and they were $1,000, $2,000
Yeah.
a hit. That's been mitigated.
Yes.
If they're on that kind of medication, we're getting the prescription assistance through St. Vincent de Paul or the United Regional, so we're not footing the bill for it.
Yeah, and also to piggyback off of that, the prescription line per prescription was at $1,500 per script, and our clients are able to get 3 scripts. We have since dropped that to $500 per script. And if it hits that max, they usually do go through the provider or through that vendor, and they're able to still achieve that, but not through our county line or
And
everything.
that 500 per script is keeping in line with what our peer counties do, so we reached out and found that, what that other peer counties were
Correct.
doing, and modeled after.
Don't know of any other thing in, not just government, but period, that costs are 10% what they were a decade ago.
Oh, my,
Wow.
no,
That's
not even
a lot of
10%.
work and taking advantage of things that are out there. That's,
It was a
What's-
full year's worth of work, but at least the numbers are there to show it
Yeah.
for everybody. And
They get all,
just the
they deserve all the
transparency.
credit. They've,
Just the transparency across the board for it, it's there. If there is any questions there, it's there. And then the last two. Basically, all of that is answered through this. All the outreach that we've done within the last year and a half, just across the board. This longer one that's on the legal paperwork is from 2024 to current. Everything across the board is thanks to other agencies stepping in, like, oh yeah, I think we can help you out, or I think this would also help you.
Yeah.
If we're not able to do anything, at least we're able to network with them. They have resources for everybody. If it's not just us, it's for anybody else. And we're able to do vice versa for them. So we have brochures for people that might not help out on our side, like Red River. They unfortunately don't take ours currently right now. Maybe down the road, they might. There's some talks that they would love to eventually, but right now, currently, they do not. But we still house their brochures in-house. Whether we're out there just presenting ourselves or just networking, this is a way for us to show our clientele and just show the county that we are trying to make sure that the bottom dollar is utilized to the full expense.
When you first look at that, the first impression is, my goodness, that's a lot of meetings and consulting and all that, but that's where the benefits are.
Correct.
You gotta go look.
Correct. You gotta put in the effort to see that effort, so.
This is a good report, and we appreciate the job y'all
Yes,
are
sir.
doing. I have
Thank you.
a lot of confidence in the fact that this is better managed than we've seen in a long, long time. Just an overall theoretical question, what are we missing? In the, not just our office, but the whole program, what are we leaving on the table that we need to think about?
Currently or in the past?
It's one.
Currently or in the past?
I think currently, yeah.
Wow, that's a great question.
I mean,
We need
Um,
more providers.
Providers,
Dental.
dental, currently, we're still in the works of trying to work with dental. There's
yeah.
agencies out there that work on their end, but unfortunately, they just don't take our medicated rates, or they're just overbooked and don't have the means to take on 100 clientele. It is what it is. We're still able to make it work out for our clientele. We will do whatever we have to do to bend over backwards to make sure that our clientele are happy. And still utilizing our strategies here. So I think that's, as of right now, how to answer that question for you.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, we gotta pay our bills and we gotta make it work, but it is a humanitarian effort. So there's a little bit of
Yeah.
both in there, and that's why I was curious if there was some area where we were just really, missing the ball that, and I mean, that would be something that you would take to the legislature or something and say, this is what we've noticed, that we really need some help here, whatever. Just curious. I appreciate your insight.
I'm gonna wager probably one piece that I could see, not that y'all are missing, but that would be a tie-in that would make sense, would be the mental health piece.
That seems
And I know
good.
Helen Farabee serves in that role,
Yes.
but,
Yeah.
a lot of times that can be just a crisis, deal rather than a more long-term thing. It's more expensive when you just deal from crisis to crisis.
I don't know if there's more of it now than there used to be, or we're just noticing it more. Maybe we're diagnosing it better and, and recognizing that there's a problem, but that's something to watch.
My only question is, do y'all work on roofs?
Not in the aspect of what the jail is having to work on, no thank you, no.
well, the outreach,
You were
both,
poking your chin. I thought you said roots. I thought you
No,
were having a dental issue. Yeah.
the outreach both to the clientele and to our providers has really made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Getting out in the community and finding out what the community needs,
Right,
and then
yeah.
being able to tie those needs together with the appropriate providers.
Correct.
You can see the results of that, so, and I appreciate the fact that we're out in the community now.
Absolutely.
We get to play bingo this month,
Yeah, that's one of
so
them.
that's fun.
Saw
Yeah.
that.
So,
It makes your job fun too.
It
Get out
does,
of
it
the
does.
office and actually engage in the community.
Yeah.
So.
All right, anything else?
Judge, I would add that on the tobacco report, we include those types of expenditures, and that allocation did go up a little over 20% from the amount that we were returned this year.
Yeah, and
Good.
some of that was in our change of the allocation formula for this year only, but we had some windfall, so good investment strategies.
Good.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Rick-
Oh,
Rick's
hold on,
got
Rick's
something.
something.
Quick addition while you're still standing up here. We recently did some work in their office. We redid the countertops, and that's something that was approved by y'all to get done. And so anyway, they had a contractor living with them in their office for about 5 days, and he was making noise. There's probably lots of smells and
Yeah.
fumes, and they were
It wasn't
gracious the whole
pleasant.
time. They were so easy to work with and very pleasant and understanding, and we got the job done, and it looks good. But I appreciate it. Y'all make my job easy whenever I'm not having to, tussle with you. I'm trying to get it done. So thank y'all. Y'all very nice people to work with.
Thank you.
Rick, what you're saying is they didn't kill him. Yeah, that's good.
It's
We actually
nice to
praised
work in
him.
people around
Yeah.
people that aren't griping about everything.
You're
being
right.
bad.
Yeah. No, we actually praised him on Facebook, just thanking him for the new calendar top. So if you follow us on Facebook, you saw the post.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, buckle up, it's about to get exciting.
That's what you've been waiting
What have we been waiting for? Item number 5, discuss the county's processes with the use of P cards and debit cards. Mr. Davis, turn it over to you.
Yeah. All right, so yesterday evening at 6:53, I sent an email. So I had gone to conference last week. We already currently have a P card in process for most elected officials and department heads to use in the county. That has historically been treated,
Hold
purchase
on, hold on a
card.
second.
Hold on, you need to define P card.
It's a
What
purchasing
is that?
card.
How is it different
How's
from a
it
debit
different from
card?
a debit or credit?
Exactly like a debit card, but the debit cards that we have are, they say like Road and Bridge Precinct 2, or, auditor, or public defender. They're
Yeah, the
not,
sheriff has 3.
They're departmental, not
Yeah, it says
individual.
transport, training, it doesn't say names.
Okay.
right. So a P card is linked to that individual, and that individual is supposed to be the only one that uses that card.
But
And
what we currently use are debit cards today
We
for
do both.
travel.
we
or-
have
You have
both.
P cards too.
Yeah.
You
Do
all have
we,
P cards.
so precinct 4 and 5, are those P cards that we have there or debit cards?
You have a P card that has Jeff Watts on it,
Yeah.
and Jack carries your precinct 4 and 5 debit cards.
Okay.
So, and Barry has a P card, and I know he does, cause him and Sam like to confuse who's got which card. And Barry has a P card that says Barry Lawler, and Sam has a card that says Road and Bridge, 3 on his. Mickey's got a P card, the judge has a P card, he doesn't like to keep his, so it's in my safe.
That's right.
And you have a P card. All of you signed for it, and we've given you a P card.
I don't
Except me.
Yeah.
No, I
Judge
gave,
signed for it, but he
I
doesn't.
gave you my P card because
Yeah.
it was expired.
So this is,
You didn't get a replacement?
Yeah, and give
Does it say your name on it, Jeff?
yeah,
That's a P card.
okay, that's a P card. Cause I've used that at a hotel before.
Okay.
But we digress.
Yes.
Okay, that's a P
I've
card.
ordered it.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
I don't currently.
Debit card, P card, debit cards are departmental, P cards are still departmental, but they are one account that multiple people have access to use. Like I was saying, went to conference last week, Denton County, Scott Aldridge presented, and he provided everyone with, I gave you all the handout that he had provided, and also what their authorization form is, which just basically says that you'll use your debit card for valid expenses, and then a policy. So what I brought this to the court for today is that we currently have 13 debit cards that are the departmental debit cards. And then we have the P card account, which has 29 debit cards associated to it. And that has a total balance of $121,000 just for those debit cards. And then the P card has an additional $25,000 balance on it. My recommendation to the court would be that if we consider to expand the P cards to what they previously were, which was just allocated towards travel expenses only, but to allow for Atwoods and for all of your other supplies and for your conference registrations and all of that, that we could do away with the debit cards and that we could just have the P cards and do just a one account for those and have an emergency debit card for, you know, possibilities where you're not needing to use the P card or something that just came up.
Well, I for one do not want purchasing power on my P card other than travel.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to call into question if I go to Lowe's and buy supplies that I'm taking them home or whatever.
Right.
So if sign Ricky a P card and Leon a P card, that they can go buy
Yeah.
at our suppliers, I'm good with that. But
Yeah.
I do not want purchasing
And
power.
the P card, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're able to use the P card exactly how you see fit.
Yeah.
But with the P card, if we get a bank statement and if we have a shared file for IT to set up for everyone to drop their receipts in electronically, if there's something that's on the statement that we don't know what it is, then we can say, hey, there's this charge. Can you find out what charge that's charged? And they'll say, okay, it was, you know, Ricky. And we'll be able to say, hey, Ricky, can you provide us this receipt for $18?
Right now, you can't tell who charged.
Well, no, that's
Right.
not true, we can tell, but let's just say that, they say, well, it was on your auditor card, okay? Technically, only Ton and myself have the auditor card, but sometimes Ricky needs to go somewhere, or somebody else in the county needs to go somewhere, and we'll sign it out for just a little bit, or Matt might need to go somewhere, so there's no name associated with it. Same as the sheriff's office, they've got he said they have 3 cards, but they have 3 departments with multiple cards within that department, so transport has 4 cards. The one for the sheriff's office has 5 or 6, and the one for training has 2 or 3. So she signs those out to people, and gives, I mean, I'm not disparaging, but gives them out to people, and then we don't know what person has that receipt.
I think it's
So it's
better
a
to have
little bit
one
more
card than
difficult.
one person.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
So
agree.
it's easier to
It
find.
does make sense.
Yeah.
but-
And
And I mean, your restrictions, and this is kind of what Denton County had said, but his restrictions were, there you go.
It's got 4 levels. Is that the one you're looking for?
You have the 4 tiers.
Yeah.
So you can set up a tier for someone to have a daily limit, and then you can also set up just, you know, a basic policy that basically just says any personal purchases, meals, entertainment, if you buy a gift card on it, if you buy, you know, alcohol or gas for your personal car, that those are unauthorized and you'd reimburse. It's the same thing we're already doing with the debit card.
Right.
And if you don't have a receipt, if you go to a gas station, you run it and it doesn't print out a receipt, you know, the C clerk for receipt kind of thing, then just send a letter and say, hey, this charge, this is for gas on this day, and it didn't print a receipt. And it's nothing where we're going to, it's not really a change other than moving away from the departmental debit card.
Right.
I think it makes sense.
I kinda like not having the departmental.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, oh, sorry.
No. I still, for me personally,
Yeah.
I like the fact that I can tell people I never touch money. I have no way to spend county money.
But
It
that's
takes-
great because it'll have your name on it, so no one would ever reuse it but you.
Yeah.
So just don't use it.
Okay.
Except for-
Well,
except
but
for
so
training.
we won't change the cards we've got in our pockets right now. There are P cards and that we'll continue to use
Yeah,
them when we
the one that
travel.
has your name on it, yeah.
But your foreman or whoever you authorize to have one, they'll also have one of those.
Right.
They'll get a new
It'll be
Yeah.
card.
Jack's name on it.
Yeah.
And any time that those folks become changed out and retire or leave, it takes 5 minutes at the bank.
Okay.
All I need is their cell phone, and they print them a card that's within,
Well,
like I said, within
okay.
5 minutes.
That'd be great.
Right.
That would work
Do
fantastic.
we run into having to, they charge us for certain if we're over a number of cards that we have out?
No, sir.
Okay.
And Denton County, they have, he said 400,000, but I'm pretty sure he meant 100,000. 100,000 transactions a month through their P-card. And I've already looked into Tyler Munis, and they have a system that would integrate with our bank, and it would pull all that over and reconcile it instead of,
But they're probably doing, Matt, they're doing like, if we went and got parts at Caterpillar, we charge them.
yeah.
they
Or do-
could be paying for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna see more of that, I would think, as we move along.
Do what?
Is
You
Margaret
know, all
handling
these
all
little
those
supply
right now?
companies, they
Yeah.
cut all those
Margaret handles
charges
all
out,
the
'cause they
initial
don't have to do
reconciliation, and then she
paperwork.
passes it to the AP processors to enter.
But they do have to be hand entered.
So right
Yes.
now, we're hand entering all that?
Yes,
Yes,
And we
the only difference is we do have that data snipper program,
right.
and it does, the only thing it does is I can download the bank statement and the backup into the Excel, and then I click on the amount, but I have to hand do all the line it's paying from, and the vendor, and all it does is, so if it says that Jim Johnson, you know, we paid Jim Johnson $100, you can click on the $100, and it's automatically scoots you right down to that receipt saying why we paid him $100. So,
Yeah.
but it's all hand done except for that.
Someone retires, gets terminated, whatever, it's just a phone call or an email,
Mhm.
it gets cut
Yep.
off immediately.
We just need that on the list. of
Yeah, that would need to
what
be
we
added
do.
to the.
Yeah, and I have a list of all of the authorized users currently.
Okay.
And, only Mike, Tana, and myself and Margaret have access to it, and it is password protected.
Margaret, you've got plenty of time to do those 100,000.
Yes, sir. That is in other duties is specified. I
You'll be able to have
The-
that done by Monday
The
afternoon.
only
Yeah.
one, I guess, that was new to us that we would change is we would use a P card at Atwoods now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But,
And he's using his current road and bridge one now,
okay,
so it would
Yeah.
just be the one with his name on it.
okay.
Yeah.
And if you had other people in.
I like
your
that
precinct
aspect of
county-
And we would
Yeah.
get rid of all
The debit
All
cards.
the debit cards
We'd have one
and,
emergency debit card, but
right.
but
That
y'all
we
would
keep
have
it on
one.
Yeah,
off, it's kinda
and
like
s-
for what we order now.
Yeah, so I was thinking that we would keep the auto debit card as a $25,000 balance on it, does that sound right?
That's what's
Is it
on
I
there
think
here
it's like
for you.
45 now, I
40?
think, but
Well,
yeah,
I
we
would
do 25 though.
Suggest decreasing that to 10 or 15,000, because it's just not necessary, it's not ever gonna be used,
Shouldn't be.
shouldn't be,
Yeah.
but just an emergency card for if something does occur.
See, Margaret, we need to get with you and get ours straightened out. I don't even have a card, but I'm supposed to have.
I think Sam swapped with you a little while back, cause he called me and asked
No.
me about his card, and I
He
said,
does.
Barry has your card, we already
Yeah.
discussed this, you can.
And I think I gave him mine.
No, you gave him the right one, cause I made him call
Good.
me back and read it to me.
So you're telling me I gotta go dig through my desk
Gotta
drawer
find
in
the
there? and
card.
find mine?
Yeah, if you can't find it, I'll.
Well, I've
get you
yet
the-
to have a county
Debbie-
card that ever worked.
Well, Debbie might have.
Yeah. Debbie
Yeah,
might
I
have.
would give him the Debbie.
I'd just like to
Debbie
get
card.
down.
They give you the dummy card.
The P card was a great way to handle the hotel issues we were having previously.
If they-
But
I'm in the same boat
sometimes
with Barry.
they don't ask for
I just
mine,
put it
and
on my own
sometimes they
and
do.
go on.
Yeah.
It just, I guess if Tana books them or something,
But if
They're
you,
already-
if you just go ahead and swipe it, when they ask you to swipe a card, even if she's reserved it on her auditor card,
move it.
if you swipe it, then it'll pay for it on that card.
Okay, okay.
Because there has been an instance within the last 6 to 8 months, I would say, when, Aniel and them are going to a conference where we actually are having hotels now that won't let you reserve a room unless you have a card in your name, and Aniel was the only one with a P card. So everybody's room had to be booked on her card because she was gonna be there to present a card with her name. They would not take the county debit card.
Wow.
And so I'm worried that that's gonna happen more and more, so people will need
Right.
it with their name on it.
Well, I think this is a much better
Yeah,
way to do it,
Yeah,
way to handle
for sure.
this. I need to probably get mine straightened out, and that's on me, probably. I don't
Well, we can get you one reissued if we need to.
Well, we'll look, and we'll get, I just wanna make sure they're all where they're supposed to be.
I
but-
mean, the next question would be setting up tiers, and I'm happy to get with each of y'all and see the base tier right now is $2,000. We don't have additional tiers, so $2,000 for daily limit.
Oh, I think that's very adequate, man.
I do
We
too.
can look
we're,
at-
we're buying a hotel room over $2,000.
Well, I
There could be
mean,
other questions.
I hope we get to go, whatever.
But sometimes your guys go to Tractor Supply. and
No, I
it's
know.
within the
I get it.
$2,000.
Yeah, now
If that
that,
happens, I can call the bank and raise it for.
Raise
just
it,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
But those are exceptions. We're
Yes.
usually not using a
Yeah.
P card in that
Yeah.
manner.
and I've spoken
It's-
with Ladon and District Attorney's Office, and they're obviously one of the higher, hotel users whenever it
Yeah.
comes up with, an out-of-town travel, for a case. And So that might be your exception to your daily limit for another tier is maybe, you know, they're set at 10,000 or something. But that
And it
would be-
depends on if they're booking them per themselves or for a
Right.
group.
For the
Yeah,
whole group.
because she's planning to get P cards for all of her attorneys, and then whenever they say, hey, I'm going to conference next week, she'll take the debit card out of the safe and say, okay, here's your debit card.
Okay.
Oh.
Your
That's a
word
good way
goes
to
on
do it.
this.
Good way to do it.
So
I
it
think their
shouldn't
only
be an
issue's
issue.
gonna be, witnesses.
Yeah. Which will still have the auto debit card, so.
Makes a lot of sense, guys.
I like it.
Anything else on the P cards and debit cards processes? All right, item 6, discuss creation of a P card policy and its availability for use.
So I think we've pretty much covered all of that. I've included in that same email just Denton County's P card general policy. Really, just exactly what we went over. It's just going to say, you know, how much that we have on the card, the tiers, and what it can be used for the departments, and what it cannot be used for the departments. Going to be a very basic. His was 10 pages. I don't even know that that is necessary for us. Just it'll be a few pages, but it won't be near that extensive. But yeah, just setting something up formally that says
Yeah.
we have these cards, which we've had them for the last 2 years, 2.5 years, and this is what they can be used for. So
Yeah, I think you'll just put that together and get it on the
Yep.
agenda.
Yeah.
We'll move it forward. Okay, any questions? All right, item 7, discuss updates to the county's purchasing policy.
okay, well, those last two went so smoothly. I'm not as worried about this one anymore. So, in April.
Famous last words.
I know. In April of 2022, I'm gonna kind of go in this in stages. So in April of 2022, April 25th, 2022, we had submitted our office, and I was with the office at that time, a procurement policy, which was to serve as a purchasing policy. That policy was set forth because we were working with some of the TDOM and FEMA and all those related grants. They said, you have to have a purchasing policy. Well, county didn't have a purchasing policy, so we wrote one up in March, worked with our grant office, and we got that to the court, and it was approved. All right, I'm gonna not fast forward to today, but I'm gonna fast forward to August of last year. In August of last year, as you all know, there was a Attorney General opinion submitted by my predecessor stating that the county is in violation because we do not have a purchasing policy. So just to go ahead and put that to bed publicly, the county does have a purchasing policy in place. It should be renewed every year, but we do have a purchasing policy that the county has set forth, so. Okay, to today. So what I am suggesting is the rewriting of our purchasing policy. I have not got a formal draft to y'all yet, but I've included in that same email from the P cards and all that from last night, Denton County and Johnson County's purchasing policy, and I would like to model ours something similar to theirs. Obviously, both of their counties are significantly larger than ours, but I would like to highlight that there's not really going to be any change to anything we're doing countywide. What we're doing is we're already abiding by a policy, but this is just to get it in writing. So I wanted to bring this to y'all's attention, kind of get your suggestions on anything that y'all may have on what you think doesn't need to be included. But I mean, like I said, with the judge having everything brought to court and the budget being closely monitored, and I mean, every elected official knows what to spend or what not to spend with our accounts payable. They know what is an eligible county expense and what's not. We're following a purchasing policy to the T right now. And this isn't going to change anyone's daily operations. This is just so we have
Just a
something-
cleaner and neater.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then each year, we'll just say, hey, it's time to renew, there are no changes, and it's signed on this date.
So we're adhering to a policy we don't have, and we're gonna adopt the policy to state
We,
what
No,
we're.
we
do
have
have
a
a
policy,
policy, yeah.
we are,
It's in
I think
22.
that we are adhering to something that's even more strict than the policy that we have now.
Right.
From the standpoint of what we ask departments to come before the
Our,
court to.
our standard,
You
our
know,
standard operating
the-
policy right now is more strict than our current policy.
Yeah, the downside that is what, like if it's anything unique, Tana gets it.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll go out there and make a selection that we wouldn't typically look for. But what I notice that we do, we will not break the habit of where we trade. So we buy stuff at Thomas Pump, maybe that's really good, but we don't even take the opportunity because we don't, as far as we know, we weren't set up and we've not even gotten the mindset to whoop a card on them. You know, so it makes us go or doesn't make us go, we're just in the habit of going, and we could buy a hydraulic hose 3 times cheaper somewhere else and we don't. And I don't know what brings us out of that habit.
Well, and because Matt and I've had this discussion separately. In a lot of departments, we have changed our behavior over the last couple of years because, quite frankly, in the budget process of honing in on, we stopped just continuing a number from year to year for the department, but actually you saw a lot of those individual lines get smaller. We've talked about this the last 2 years in budget. Departments have responded to that by shopping around, and whether it's office supplies or I can't think of another example, but
It's also become easier to shop around.
Right.
Nowadays, people can pull out their phone and check prices on 4 different places.
Yeah.
While you're sitting here waiting on
Yeah.
something else.
and I think that what you're saying, Jeff, is true for some things. I think that the P card policy honestly will help with that because
It'll help.
rather than having to get a new credit account established somewhere and go through the
Right.
I think that it will even help continue that. But I will say I think that some of that is already happening. You're seeing, office supply budgets for most departments have actually stayed the same or gone down over the last 2 or 3 years because.
Yeah, because it almost got to be, where do we get hydraulic fluid?
Yeah.
Where do we get a hose?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, how do we go about
Right.
doing it? It's where do we go? Because that's, okay.
My suggestion on this, especially formalizing, would be, might hold off on finalizing anything until after June 2nd.
Okay.
Because, I think you mentioned it in your email, but if the legislature raises that bid
Yes.
requirement to 100,000 or
Yes,
75.
and because you're advocating that, Judge, I will say yes, the 100,000, we got a legislative update from Peter Winkler last week, and he said that it is pushing through, it has made it through both Senate and House, but
That's
it's
good.
got 2 more levels for the House, I think, and then it's gonna go to sign, so.
It'll pass.
Yeah, it looks
It'll-
like it's
it'll
gonna
pass.
Yeah.
go.
So that'll be, it's been 50,000 for the last 25 years, I think it
It's
was,
been a while.
so.
And I would just encourage all the commissioners, be thinking, if you don't like any of our thresholds on the $5,000 number to come before court, trying to think if we have any other dollar thresholds.
I really enjoy it being brought to court. It's just more transparent. I think it's
Transparent.
better for the citizens. It's better
Yeah.
for us.
I
think it's
agree.
better all the way around.
I would just say that if there's anything like that you're thinking the way we've been doing it,
Yeah.
you'd like to at least have a discussion on, it would be, when we're doing this would be the time to.
I think it helps you to mentally check your cash flow.
Yeah.
You're aware of it when it comes up because not everybody can be everywhere or be involved in every conversation all the time, and it just keeps you aware of where the ship is headed.
And I know that in department heads and elected officials, I think it also helps them know that, all right, well, if I'm going to have to come before court on this, I'll maybe go out and get a quote that I might not have otherwise done.
Yeah.
I think it's been a helpful, and I think it is good for
It was
transparency.
$500 when I started.
Is it
Yeah,
Can we go back to
you
that?
had to
That's
come.
it?
to
Oh,
court.
heavens.
It was 1,000 whenever I started.
It was
The 5,000's
$500.
really good with building maintenance.
We'd have to
In
add
fact,
a
we could be
day
a little bit more, but,
to the meeting.
but we probably need to talk about how to handle some of that policy with emergency purchases, et cetera,
Yeah.
building maintenance.
Well, what I'll do is I'll get the draft written, and then we can have it in another Friday session, go through it
Yeah.
and see, and then we can do edits, like we did with the fund balance policy, edits, and then,
Because usually we have to talk through things when we come across.
You know, it's
Problematic.
really, give you a prime example, we had a machine in Caterpillar. Then we get an invoice, we had it, there had to be fixed, it wasn't mobile, and we get a bill and it's $7,500. Well,
Yeah.
you know, all the rest of what happens after that is a moot point, really. I
right,
mean,
it's done, yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. And there's no way of knowing
Right.
upfront what it's gonna cost until they tear into it, so.
You know, sometimes it's $300 to read the computer, sometimes it's 30,000 to fix what's wrong.
Well, and it's,
Yeah.
and
They'll
it-
tell you when we, they'll tell you after we fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not like asking permission as much as it is just reporting. Once again, to
reporting,
me, it
yeah,
gives me an
that's
idea of
true, and I think,
how
like,
things are going.
like y'all said, transparency, it
Yeah.
No,
has
we
a
need to
good
be,
look to it.
for sure.
And Matt, I'll say thank you for putting it all in a easy to digest format in
Right.
your email ahead of time, and then giving this to us today.
Absolutely.
Kind of giving us the heads up of what's coming. what
Just
you
a
asked
few things I wanted to say. So just a reminder, you brought up the 5,000. The capital asset threshold is now the 10,000 that we voted on in December. So anything that you see that comes through 5,000 but is less than 10,000 will not be reported as a capital asset on your budget. And I would also like to go ahead and recognize both Margaret and Tawna. I think creating the purchasing agent role for the county was a tremendous idea, and Tawna definitely puts in a lot of hours and does a lot of work for the county. Also,
And she gets to learn about all sorts of new things.
That's right.
You want what?
And I will say, 99% of the time, she's pretty darn helpful and polite.
That's
Always.
right.
99.9. You can tell every once in a while she might be a little stressed about it.
Stop and think about it. Just in this room today, we've talked about healthcare, indigent healthcare, and we've talked about fixing roads, and
Roofs.
roofs. I mean, the variations of what we do, guys. It's
All over the place.
yeah. It's that adds another level to it. So
and the purchasing role of our county is only going to continue to grow. And
Sure.
currently, when Margaret was out, we were short for supervisor on review and AP. Accounts payable is caught up, and our ladies are still keeping it current. And so with that, we've obviously had a little bit of downtime for one of our processors. So she is now learning the purchasing roles and trying to assist with on
Now, we
on
met
those things.
we met a fella yesterday from your office that they brought around. Reed?
Yep.
Okay, seemed
Yes.
like a good young man.
He is, he's going to be hopping into the receipts, so, checking everything the treasurer sends over, and then also helping with the budget. But Mike and I are still gonna be, obviously, helping Judge with that and sitting in on all the meetings, so.
Appreciate the help. And from the auditor's office during budget season.
So, just to wind back real quick, Judge, you had brought up the $50,000 procurement. Obviously, we're hoping that it goes to the 100,000. Just to go back to August for just a second, there was also another Attorney General opinion submitted, requesting that the Attorney General provide guidance on if, when an item is bid, is then a financial institution to, acquire the loan from, if we were to purchase a loan or get a loan from an institution. I am happy to resubmit that if the court deems so. However, from everything that I've seen and everyone I've spoken to, the Attorney General is not likely to rule on something like that just because of the very few options there is out there for leasing to governmental entities. So they're not going to try to tie anyone's hands. And I can think of maybe 15 or 20 institutions that are currently leasing to governmental entities right now. So I just wanted to provide an update on that as well.
All right. Matt, thank you.
Sounds
Y'all
good.
was
good.
Team auditor, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, it is 11:35 and court is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Health board?
I'll be right back.